sent by email to the Asbury Park Press and the Co-Star, our official newspapers, and posted on the bulletin board of this building. Take roll call. Mr. Ross?
Here.
Mr. Day?
Here.
Mr. Almeida?
I'm here.
Mr. Fitzgerald? Mr. Lubin?
Yes.
Mr. Diorio?
Yes.
Ms. Hayner?
Yes.
Ms. Rosell? Here. And Mr. O'Neill is absent.
Okay, if everyone please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, can I just make one procedural?
And I would like to make an announcement. Correct me if I have this wrong, but we're only going to be hearing 2 applications tonight because 2 have been postponed. The application for 213 8th Avenue has been moved to April, and the application for 106 4th Avenue has also been moved to
April 18th.
April 18th. So if anyone here is here tonight for either of those applications, you have the night off and come back on April 18th.
And Mr. Chairman, for the record, there will be new notice or re-noticing or notice for those 2 applications.
Oh, yeah? Okay. All right. That's good to know. Okay. Very good.
And then just one other procedural thing, just in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, this meeting is a duly organized special meeting of the zoning board. So even though it's not one of our regular meetings, it's a special meeting notice, a special meeting, and our friend, the borough clerk, forwarded notice of the special meeting in 2 newspapers, 48 hours in advance of this meeting. The notice was posted with the borough clerk, which is not a hard thing to do because she's the borough clerk too.
Right.
And it was posted on the website. So for the record, this is a lawfully convened special meeting.
And everyone here tonight is special.
Absolutely, yes. Could not agree more.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. You have some business to attend to, April at all, or not?
Nope, that was it.
Not yet. So we're going right into the first application.
Yes.
Okay. And if we're going in the correct order, that would be Hank and Roseanne Knabe, I believe.
Knabe.
Knabe. Oh, you want the cat? Knabe.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry if I misunderstood.
Okay, and Mr. Chairman, as the applicant team comes forward, we'll do a couple of things. Is there anyone here who had any questions or comments or concerns regarding the notice they received?
Could you pause just for a second?
Sure.
Kenny, I think we have a recusal.
Okay.
Mr. Almeida has to recuse myself, I'm in the zone.
Oh, okay. So you
But you'll be
give,
back for the next application, or you just?
I will be back.
Okay.
so you give
We're gonna miss
meaning
you. No.
to my discussion at the last meeting. A lot of the times the alternates will stand up and do a recusal, so perfect. Perfect illustration. Thank you, Tony.
I'm coming back here.
Right by the book, right?
So is there anyone here who had any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the sufficiency of the notice they received? Okay, we don't see any. Let the record reflect that the board secretary and I reviewed the notice and found everything to be in order, so it would be my humble opinion that we have jurisdiction to proceed tonight. And what we'll do is we will mark into the record what we as a board have before us. A1 will be the development application, and that's dated December 28, 2023. And A2 will be the application checklist. And what was A3? This is A3 is going to be the Belmar minor land use application denial, and that's dated November 15th, 2023. And then we have here a site plan. We're going to mark that A4. And it's a site plan dated May 30th, 2023, last revised February 2nd, 2024, prepared by Paul Almochenko, and that's just one sheet. And then last but not least, we're going to mark A5. That's a site plan prepared by Paul Almochenko, and that's dated May 20th, 2023, last revised December 28th, 2023. And that is, it says 6, but is it 23? Three sheets. Okay, and what we'll do is we will swear in Ted Bianchi. Ted, you are the zoning officer and construction official for the great borough of Belmar. Do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide, to the extent you provide any, will be the truth, to the best of your knowledge, to help you God? Okay. Good evening. So, come on, we can swear you both in. So, Mr. Amelchenko, you can just state your name, please, and business address.
My name is Paul Amelchenko with architectural offices at 917 Main Street, Belmar, New Jersey.
Okay, and you're testifying tonight in your capacity as an architect.
That's correct.
Okay. And good evening, sir. If you can state your name and address.
Henry Tommy, 504 10th Avenue.
And that's K-N-A-B-E.
BE.
And you're the applicant.
That's correct.
Okay, if you could both raise your right hands. Do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, to the best of your knowledge, to help you God?
I do.
Okay. And Mr. Cloudy, have a seat. If I could just, with the chair's consent, just to get a few real basic questions out of the way. We're talking about the property at 504 10th Avenue, correct?
Yes.
And are you the owner of that property?
Yes.
And how long have you owned it roughly?
A year and a half.
Okay, and my notes reflect there's a single-family home at the site?
Yes.
And do you live there?
We're renovating it to make it our full-time home.
Okay, so you're in the process of renovating it to live there. Perfect. All right, so now why don't you tell the board about your proposal? Or if you wanted Mr. Amelchenko to do that.
Thank you. Give them a brief summary of the necessity of the garage and the purpose of it.
Well, my hobby is collecting classic cars, and so if this is so I have a place to put them and keep them nice and maintain them. And always wanted a garage like this, so this is our, hopefully our last home. So we're trying to make it so it's very comfortable for both of us. And I've been a mechanic my whole life, but I'm retired for like 14 years now. So I fiddle with the cars, I clean them. I really don't do any work on them there. I take them to other places, people do the heavier work. So it's really just to store the cars, and obviously we have bicycles and other things we're gonna have in it, so.
And there'll be 2 lifts in each of the 2 bays.
Yeah, 2
So you
lifts.
can elevate the car and
Right.
store another car
Store another
below.
car underneath it, yeah.
You know what, and just, Mr. Chairman, if I may, before I forget, Mr. Amelchenko, we have a couple new board members. I know you've been before us, but why don't you briefly just state your credentials and certifications, just so that the new board members have a feeling of who you are?
Sure. Paul G. Amelchenko, a longtime resident of New Jersey. I've been licensed in New Jersey since 1978, I believe, quite a while. And I have an office in Florida where I'm also licensed. I have offices at 917 Main Street, and I've been working in and around Belmar for the last 25 years.
Okay, so why don't you continue then with, if you have any more information about the garage.
project. Great. The project
Mr.
before you.
Amelchenko, could
Pardon?
you start by briefing both us and the public as to what variances you're anticipating you're going to be requesting this evening?
We are seeking one variance, and that is building coverage, where 25% is allowed, and we are at 29%.
I'm sorry, give those numbers.
We're at 29%. We're 5% over in building coverage.
Okay. And there's.
I'm sorry, 4%
And
over
and
building.
there's no lot coverage matter?
No, sir.
Okay, so just one variance.
We're totally in conformance, and as a matter of fact, there's a pre-existing garage on site now that is too close to one property line. It's, I believe, 2.5 feet off of one property line, and then 12 feet off another. We've brought this new structure into conformance with the 3-foot setbacks, and we've done a lot of
That's
additional.
actually positive criteria, so I'll let you continue. I just wanted to know what variances. Thanks.
Yeah,
Okay.
If you drove past this site, you would see that it is a mass of macadam from the street widening out to where the house currently sits and widening out even further to a parking lot in the rear of the property. We've attempted and done our best to eliminate that lot coverage, basically minimize it, just for our purpose of access to the rear garage with pervious pavers and a small patio off the rear of the home. Outside of that, that's the only request for variances that we have. We do,
You're gonna put a sink in that garage?
yes, sir, I was getting to that.
Okay, because that's a variance.
Okay. I didn't know whether it was a variance or a waiver, but,
No, it's a variance.
all right, so we have an additional request.
I'm glad we're starting with this, that's great, because we want to know what it is we're being asked for tonight, so that's
Okay.
good, okay.
We have, because of the nature of the storage of the classic cars, they're worth a few dollars, so naturally we would request to be able to put heat in the structure as well, to maintain the quality of the automobiles. And my client has also requested a work sink on the ground floor in one of the bays that, and I don't know whether you noticed on the plans, but each of the bays of this garage has a lift in it that will elevate a car 7 feet in the air and allow my client to park another car underneath it. So we believe that it's obvious that we're not going to rent this space to a tenant or anything else. It's totally unsuitable for anything other than the maintenance of these
Would you mind
classic
giving
cars.
a rough idea of where you believe that sink is going to be located, because we're having difficulty trying to identify it on the overhead?
I don't believe I showed it on the plan. We're going to locate it somewhere on the rear wall, which would be the north wall of one of the bays,
Of garage 1 or garage 2?
either one.
Are the lifts shown on your diagram?
They are.
What we have?
They are, and I'm going to show you where they are. I did a side elevation where I sketched in the side of the lift on sheet A3.
Oh, very good. That explains what that.
Kind of a scissor structure that elevates, and we required 11-foot headroom in each one of those bays to be able to accommodate the elevated cars.
Okay, very good. So we're, just to clarify, Ted, the thing that's triggering the second variance that's requested isn't just a sink. I think it's heating as well then, right?
We've never denied anybody for putting heat in the garage.
Okay, so
There's nothing.
you mean from a permit point of view or from a variance point of view?
Well, no, from a variance point of view.
Okay.
Permit is not an issue.
Is a variance needed for the
No,
heat?
not for the heat, for the sink.
The sink requires a variance, but the heat does not.
No.
That's good to know. Okay, thank you. All right, I'm glad that we have that settled up front. So let's try to focus on those things and we'll see what we can do to get to a vote.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We have, the structure consists of 2 garage bays on either side of a center workspace, storage of bicycles, the ordinary things that we store, surfboards, things like that, in a beachfront home. And I'm showing the elevations. We've attempted to break up the structure. It's 18 foot high, which is conformance with the ordinance. However, we tried to create some modifications to the rear of the building with gable roofs, things like that, facing our neighbor to the north, and to keep that residential character that basically is the home itself. And then I put some color on this elevation to indicate we're going to continue with the same siding, the simulated cedar shake in a gray motif, and then we're going to implement mahogany doors or a wood grain type of door with glass for lighting. And we've broken up the front elevation by recessing the center section by 2 feet, so it's not just one straight wall, 36 feet long. And we created the gable ends, once again, to try to capture the residential character and that cottage type shore character. I think that's the sum total of my presentation. We'd be happy to answer any questions.
I notice on the plan, there's an addition reflected. Is that just standard permitted addition that got completed, or I just don't know what.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. This site plan was part and parcel of our initial resident application for the residence itself, which was in total conformance. It was submitted to Ted's
I'm
office.
sorry, is this this currently exists, or it's currently?
The addition
construction?
exists. It's being finished now. It's being built.
So that addition was approved through a standard permit and no variance was necessary for it?
Correct.
Okay, great. And so the calculations include the building footprint associated with that addition?
That's correct.
Okay, great. Okay.
And in that, Mr. Chairman, in that initial application, we also represented the efforts that we made to reduce the amount of macadam and lot coverage, impervious coverage.
And that's still in conformity with the original permit
It is,
application that didn't trigger variance at that
It
time?
is.
Okay, very good. Your presentation is done, is that what I understood you said?
That's correct.
Okay, so now we're going to open it up for board questions, and we'll start with one of our newer members, Ms. Hayner, down on the west end.
Okay. The only question I have is, you said 25% is permitted, and you have 29.9% for the variance, but you mentioned 29. Is it 29 or 29.9?
It's 29.9. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
I
it's
should have read it off the graph.
the difference of 5 versus a 4. Okay. That was the only question I had.
Thank you.
So the driveway you show with the, looks like some green strips of lawn down the center, is that part of this project, or was that part of the prior project that you're working on now?
That was part of the prior project.
Okay.
Yeah, part of the site plan submitted.
And you're going to run a drain line from the new garage to the house for drainage of the sink? Or-
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And the middle bay could have a car in it, correct? Even though it has no lift?
It doesn't really have the depth that the client has a smaller Jeep that we thought could fit in that space, but there's a staircase going up to the loft, to the storage loft above. So it would preclude like a large SUV or something housed in that area.
So I have one question. Do you know how many 3-car garages are in town right now?
No, I don't.
Okay. There are not too many, that's why I asked.
Okay.
I didn't know whether you had looked at that. And the staircase that's going to be in there, is there a staircase now?
No,
No staircase.
no, there's an existing garage that's 20 by 22,
Right.
which is fairly dilapidated. That's coming down.
Right. And is it coming all down because
Yes.
your plan said existing walls, or in your first and loft wall plan said existing walls to remain on A2? I'm looking at the legend in the middle of A2.
Oh, actually, this is, my drafter has basically a cut and paste file for renovations and additions, and that's where this came from. But
So
there
this is
are
totally,
no existing walls remaining,
so it's going to be demolished
right
and,
down to the foundation.
right, and I read, the way I read your plans, there's only 3 feet of headroom in the loft storage area?
On either side of the, over either bed,
Right.
but there is like probably a 6.5 foot headroom on the upper section over the middle.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have.
Mr. Lubin?
basically answered my question as to why we needed a three-car garage right off, because you collect cars. And that's my only comment, really.
Yeah, that center area is, I think is gonna be too shallow for a car. It's more of, you know, where your work benches would be, or your bicycles and hanging bicycles. Golf carts, yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine, but you still got, instead of a standard 2, you've got 4.5.
Yeah, you could jam it in there if you really wanted to, I guess.
But again, around town, the golf cart would fit in there fine,
Right.
that sort of thing. Okay.
So it's a 4-car garage because you have the lifts in there, correct?
You could ultimately put 4 cars
Yes.
there. That's what I have that setup at my home up in North Jersey. I kind of experimented a couple years ago, and it was really nice.
And the cars drive, correct?
Oh, yeah, they're pristine.
And they're old, right?
68, 67, 69, and 70.
And they're loud, right?
No,
Okay.
no, they're, what do you call it? They're all back to original cruisers. They're not noisy. They're not, and they're not hot, I mean, they're not really hot rods. Do they have chrome wheels? Yes. You know, do they have V8s? Yes.
I just want to mention something, though, as a new member, and I want to put it out. Whether the cars are loud or not has nothing to do with the variances.
I understand.
Okay.
That's
I
why
just
I
want to
think it's important.
but we try to stay on what's being requested, and quiet cars is not part of our program, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And the loft area will not be finished?
It'll be sheet rock, taped and painted.
Sheet rock, taped and painted?
Yeah, and insulated,
Okay. Will there be gutters on the garage?
sure.
And the runoff goes to where?
The downspouts would either go out to the street, but in this case, because it's so far back, there'd probably be necessity perhaps for a dry well or something like that, just to retain the earth. But we do have a lot of lawn area to this side over here.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Craig,
Thank you.
floor drain, you gonna wash your car inside? No. Okay. Above the ground lifts? They're not oil tanks down into the ground, like pistons?
Surface mount.
Surface mount.
Either they sit right, there's 2 different kinds, and I'm not sure what we're gonna do, but, one bolts down, and you have the post on the side, and the other is a 4-post where it just sits on the cement. Yeah, no oil in the ground.
There's the runners in between the doors, that's all sod. It's just marked on the site plan. I guess that's sod or grass.
What was the question?
The runners in between, you have either a concrete or a brick paver driveway that goes back and swings around?
It's going to be.
And in front of each door, there's a thing here that says, oh, I'm sorry, it does say lawn. It was like it's like almost scratched through my mind. Okay, that answers that question. The driveway's gonna be pavers?
Correct. Right now, it's all blacktop. It's all coming up.
It'll be pervious pavers.
Thank you. I think that's all I got for you. What kind of cars you said?
67 Plymouth, 69 Mustang, and a 70 Chevelle.
Are the chrome wheels loud?
Yeah. Only if you're starting off.
Yeah, just kidding. Thank you.
Mr. Ross?
Yeah, you said you wanted heat, or you have an AC as well, air conditioning as well?
Well, those split system, which I have in my other garage,
Oh,
does,
okay.
it does AC, yeah.
I was just curious where the condensers were gonna go, you'll keep them in a compliant location? if you-
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. You have the space there.
Are they reflected location, where they're going?
They're not, but they will be within the setback. We have 11 feet off of one side yard, where we're actually had shown the generator. I brought in a revised site plan indicating a generator just to the left side
That was for the main house, right?
of the west bank.
Right.
It would sit right here. It's shown here with a 10-foot setback off the side yard.
Mr. Ross, any
No
other
other,
questions?
no other questions?
And any questions that I had were already asked by my partners here on the zoning board, so I don't have any other questions. So with that, we'll open up to see if the public has any questions regarding this application.
not see anyone from the public raising their hand, therefore we will close the public session and go right into board comments. We'll go in the same order that we did our questions.
Do you detail cars on the side? I think it's a great hobby. I had a '68 Firebird, I loved it, so we love it.
Thank you.
I just have one question, since you're demolishing the garage. Any asbestos, hazardous material in there that you know?
If we find any, it'll be properly disposed of.
Okay, thank you.
That's it, Mr. Lubin, comments?
I started out, kinda like Jim, with why do we need, three-car garages? Because there aren't very many around town. It's not that type of town. But the purpose is there, so I have no problem.
Excellent. Ms. Brazett?
No problem at all.
Great. Mr. Gray?
I kinda like the idea. I'm in favor of it.
Mr. Ross?
I'm in favor too, I think
And,
the design looks really nice too.
And I just have
Thank
to
you.
comment, I'd like to make my vote contingent on you showing me your car.
No problem.
We can
Just
have
joking about that.
We can have a zoning board,
Car show.
car show.
That would make me very happy.
We got a couple of car collectors up here.
Be a nice welcome to the neighborhood.
All right, very good. So with that, Mr. Kennedy?
Sure, Mr. Chairman, can I just ask, for purposes of resolution, can I just ask a couple real quick questions just to get them and save me time later on? So right now, the existing garage is 20 by 22,
Correct.
and what's the proposed garage gonna be?
24 by 36.
All right, and right now, what is the height of the existing garage,
It's,
if you know?
Says in feet.
I do know. It's 12 feet.
12? All right, and the proposed is gonna be 18 feet?
Yes,
Okay, and the existing garage, how many bays?
2.
And in this one will be technically 4?
No,
2.
2.
2.
3, actually, but
3,
Well,
yes.
I don't know.
3?
2 and a half.
Count as a bay. I think it's gonna be 2 bays.
Okay,
I think if you reflect other than that.
2 bays, but you're 2 for 1,
Double
top, bottom,
stack.
top, bottom, okay.
You're
So-
allowed 3 days.
Right, but the center can't count as a bay because the
All
car
right.
can't fit there.
So this will be 2 bays accommodating 4 vehicles, I guess, is what you say, right? And then in terms of, just for the record and from the plans, where is on the site, where is the existing garage?
Existing garage is in the right rear corner, the north corner.
All
You
right.
can see it on the site plan prepared by O'Malley. It's the hatched-in
Okay. And
structure
where is
at the rear of the site.
And the proposed garage on site is gonna be, what would be a description of that?
I'm sorry.
Where's the proposed garage gonna be?
The proposed garage is shown here on the northeast corner.
Northeast corner, thank you. And does the existing garage have any utilities?
No,
All right. And then for the new garage, so is there any gas?
no,
Water is yes. Electric
yes.
and sewer?
There'll be gas in there. In the new garage.
Could be a gas heater.
Okay. And sewer?
Not necessary.
Okay.
Wait, did you say no? Yes, there'll be
Yeah,
a
it's
sink.
gonna be sewer
There'll be a
gas also.
sink.
It's gonna have a sink.
I'm sorry, okay. And then, the garage will not be, the new garage will not be utilized as living space, correct?
Correct.
Or the loft. Could say garage or loft. please, Mr. Kennedy.
Seven?
Say garage or loft will not be.
Got it.
used as living
All right, so that's good. So then,
space. One more thing, Mr. Kennedy.
Sure.
I think not that you missed it, but you didn't mention it. I think a major positive criteria here is that the out of compliance rear setback will be eliminated and will be brought into compliance with the new garage placement, because then we have 3 feet off the back line and we have 3 feet off the sideline.
perfect. So complying with setbacks and eliminate a non-conforming condition,
Yes.
which everything we always do, we want to make things conforming or more conforming and eliminate. So, Mr. Chairman, I've taken a couple of notes as to potential conditions. Our standard would be compliance with all promises, commitments, and representations that the team made tonight, compliance with the affordable housing rules and regulations. We usually have a 24-month shelf life from the date the resolution is adopted to get all necessary building permits. The garage or loft not to be utilized as living space. Any outside approvals, and we usually say if the outside approvals materially change the nature of the application or the nature of relief, you need to come back. And I guess just for being thorough or anal or something, this is only for your personal use. There's no commercial aspect to your use of this garage, correct? Okay. And let's see, we usually have grading and drainage details to be reviewed and approved by the borough engineer. The lifts, I guess, did we want the, Mr. Chairman, I think, or someone said, we want the sink shown on the plans? Is that what you said?
It's not currently reflected, and so
Okay.
I just would request that when
We'll indicate those in the construction documents.
Perfect. And just one other real quick question, the lifts don't make any noise, do they? Okay. And then what about, I think we'll just clarify that the addition as referenced on the plans is not part of this plan. And then we'll clarify the 29.9%. And let's see, we'll clarify those plans to show that wall to remain, quote wall to remain, that's not accurate for this. Gutters on the garage. And did we say there's did you say there's gonna be a dry well?
If it's necessary,
Okay.
we're not proposing that at this juncture. We don't feel it's necessary, but if it is, obviously my client would.
So you'll work that out with the borough engineer, and
Yeah.
if it is necessary, it usually has to be installed and maintained in accordance with best practices and other borough procedures. No oil in the ground for the lifts. Driveway will be pervious pavers, air conditioning condensers in a compliant location, and the same thing with the generator, and those details will be put on the plans.
Mr. Kennedy, related to the dry well, if you could just amend that slightly and just say, you know, should the garage create any flooding conditions for the neighboring properties, that the applicant will address those flooding issues at their cost, or something to that effect, because the good faith effort resulting in not doing it, resulting in flooding next door, we don't want to see that happen. So
Yes.
we want to
That's
make sure
agreeable,
that-
by the way.
Perfect. And then we'll also, in conjunction with that, no drainage onto adjacent properties. And we also have, let's see, to the extent any environmental hazards are located on the site, they'll be removed and lawfully disposed of. And private show for the board members. That was it. So are those terms acceptable to you all that I've just read?
Absolutely.
And then we have our other standard positions. But Mr. Chairman, if those are acceptable to the board, we can take a vote on it.
Very nice summary, Mr. Kennedy. Appreciate that. So with that, I'd like someone to make a motion to approve this application.
I'll make that motion.
Second, Mr. Craig. Thank you. Mr. Lubin?
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Gregg?
Yes.
Ms. Mazel?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mr. Lubin?
Yes.
Mr. Diorio?
Yes.
Ms. Zena?
Yes.
Congratulations. Good luck with the project.
Thank you, we'll do a good job with that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Good luck. So with that, if the second applicant, Daniel and Elijah Clemens, will please come forward. You move on with the second.
And Mr. Chairman, as the applicant's team comes forward, we'll go through our standard preliminary procedural things. Is there anyone in the room tonight who had any questions or comments regarding the sufficiency of the notice they received? Nope. Okay, seeing none, the board secretary and I reviewed the notice and found everything to be in order, so it would be my opinion, humble as it may be, that we have jurisdiction to proceed tonight. And what we'll do for the second time and final time tonight, we'll swear in Ted Bianchi. Ted, you are the zoning officer and construction official of the Borough of Belmar. Do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide, to the extent you provide any, will be the truth, to the best of your knowledge, to help you God? Okay, thank you. And we'll mark into the record what we as a board have before us. A1 is the development application. I think that's undated. And A2 will be the minor land use application denial form dated August 20th, 2023. A3 is a survey of the property prepared by Morris Surveying, and it's dated March 16th, 2011. And A4 are architectural plans prepared by Brian Collis Architecture, and my friend with the awesome eyes is going to help me with the date. October 6th, 2023, consisting of 3 sheets. I think that's it, April, correct? All right, this is James Keneally, the applicant's attorney. So good evening, Mr. Keneally, and welcome to Belmar.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is James Keneally. I represent Aaliyah and Loriello Schlexer and her husband Daniel, who are here for a proposed addition to their house. They want to remove an enclosed porch at the rear of the house and replace it with an addition that enlarges the kitchen and adds a family room. Why are we here? Okay. First, we're here because there is currently an excessive amount of lot coverage on the property. In connection with this proposed addition, the applicant is going to remove quite a bit of the driveway. Our architect will describe in detail what that involves. The current lot coverage is 55%, 55.2%. By removing some of the excessive lot coverage, we're going to get the lot coverage down to 49% within the limit of 50%. So we are eliminating a variance condition that exists on the property.
Reducing lot coverage, but is that eliminating, or is that just bringing it more in compliance?
That brings it into compliance.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Currently, the existing house is over your principal building coverage of 25%. It's currently at 28.9%, and we're proposing 31.2%. But we are eliminating the overall impervious coverage variance, even though we're over on the principal building coverage. There is also an existing side setback violation. The house is built almost on the property line at certain areas. There's a bump out on the west side of the house that brings it to within 0.34 feet of the property line. The proposed addition is not going to be that close to the property line. The proposed addition will be 3.4 foot from the side property line.
Where 5 is required.
Where 5 is required, that is correct. And our architect will explain why, due to the flow required for the addition, we can't comply with the 5 without ruining the flow of the interior space. And with that, I have 2 witnesses. I have the applicant and I have her architect.
Okay, very good. Before we get into that, I just want to make sure that the 6 conditions that Mr. Bianchi listed in the application denial are being adequately addressed. So it sounds like number 1, you're going to talk about that, right? Because it's saying 2.4 feet and 5 is required. So we're going to be determined on that one.
Yes.
Permitted building coverage is 25%. You're proposing 30. You said 31.2%. The denial says 31.64. It's a minor problem, but believe me, minor errors like this wind up becoming a big problem, especially if something gets appealed.
And that's why the lawyers don't get involved in the math. I'll have my architect.
Okay, so I'm just going to request then that the architect address the discrepancy from the 31.64 that was submitted previously to the 31.2 that you're talking about tonight, okay? The third item, the entire driveway is lot coverage. How was it calculated? See definition of impervious area. You gave us some numbers. I assume that you've addressed this through those recalculations.
The architect will describe.
Okay, very good. How was the deck calculated? The architect will say how it was calculated. The maximum width of a driveway is 10 feet, except in front of the garage, which can extend 2 feet past. I assume the reason why Mr. Bianchi listed this was that the plan wasn't complying with that.
We'll have to have some discussion on that.
Okay, so the maximum width of a driveway is 10 foot, except in front of the garage, which can extend 2 feet past either side, which makes it 14 at that point, but the width itself has to be, it's supposed to be 10, so that may trigger variance. And then windows will not be permitted within 3 feet of the property line unless it has a fire rating. Again, architect to address?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Keeping track, Mr. Architect?
Yep.
All right, very good. All right, please go.
All right, so we'll swear you in. If you could just state your name first and business address.
Brian Collis. I live at 128 John Street in Brick. I work out of my house. That's also my business address.
Okay, and you're testifying tonight in your capacity as a licensed architect?
That is correct.
And all your licenses and certifications are current and up to date?
That is correct.
And why don't you just give the board a very brief resuscitation of your credentials?
Undergraduate degree from Clemson. My master's degree is from Arizona State. I've been working in New Jersey since 2004 when I moved back. I've been licensed in the state since 2007.
And ma'am, your name?
Elia Loriello Slexer,
Okay, and how do you spell Elia?
E-L-I-A.
And last name is spelled?
I have two last names, so I'm not sure if you want both.
Sure.
L-A-U-R-I-E-L-L-O. Second last name, S-C-H-L-E-C-K-S-E-R.
All right, and you're the applicant?
Yes.
All right, if both you and Mr. Collis could raise your right hand, do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge to help you God?
I do.
Okay, let the record reflect that both witnesses have been sworn. And Jim, can I just ask your client just 3 basic questions to get the ball rolling?
Sure.
Just with respect to the property at 415 9th Avenue, correct?
Yes.
Are you the owner of that property?
My husband and I are.
Okay, and how long have you owned it roughly?
We bought it in 2019 and we are permanent residents.
Okay, and my note suggests that there's a single-family home at the site?
That is correct.
And do you live there?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Take it away, Jim.
Tell us about the house.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So it is an older house, and the reason why we're here today is to make it more functional. The kitchen is not functional for us, and we would like to make it a little bit bigger and have it flow into the back of the property where we can enjoy the property. Right now, we're not able to do that. So we're here to ask the board to review the application and, approve our submission.
And you're going to enlarge the kitchen and add a family room.
Yes,
And that's all that you're proposing.
that is correct.
And you're also proposing to remove some of the paving that's on your property.
That is correct.
And it's your intention to get the impervious coverage down under the limit so that there's no variance above.
That's correct.
That's all the questions I have for her. If she's available for questions from you, or if not, I'll move on to my architect.
We typically do the questions just in one session, so we might as well hear the architect first and then defer on any questions.
All right, so this is the area in the back here of the new addition. There's currently the dash line on the plans you have. The dash line is the existing sort of screen, well, it probably once was a screen porch, it's been enclosed, it's got windows. That is to be removed, and then the new addition will take its place. So as you can see, so addressing the side setback issue, this area up here, the bump out in the dining room is the point that gets to, like, I think within 4 inches of the property line. And then at the kitchen, it bumps into roughly, I think, 2.5 feet, roughly, from the property line. And then we're proposing another bump in off that, which will bring it to like roughly 3'5". from the property line. So we get beyond that 3 feet from the property line, so we can have windows in there. The wall will still obviously need to be rated. But so we, yeah, you know, if we had followed the additional line and kept it at the 2.4, there would be no windows allowed in that wall at all. So that was part of the reason why to bring it, and again, trying to just get it back farther away from the property line to get as much clear as we could. Yeah, and so basically, yeah, so it allows for the kitchen to be redone. There's some stuff in here with the existing basement stair sort of comes in sort of like a sort of a choke point, so there's one little narrow area that gets out to that existing screen porch. And so by doing this addition, we keep the last two risers into the basement of the stair, but then we have a new access to that, which also lands at grade, so you have access to the outside plus then access to the basement from outside. That enabled us to open this up a little bit, so it's a little bit less of a choke point. So the area, this new sitting room area or den or whatever you want to call it, is going to be, you know, more sort of free-flowing space between the kitchen and the new area. The addition is roughly 13.6 by almost 18, so it's about 260 square feet altogether.
I'm sorry, 13.6 by 18 equals what?
It's 260 square feet. It's like, I think it's 13.5 and a half by like 17.10, I think is the exact dimensions. And so in fact, the house does have a second floor, but the addition will just be a single story. So it'll have a lower roof over that section. And then beyond that, it was, again, part of the whole thing. So I believe right now, you know, you have this porch area, but then the door is off to the side to get to the backyard. So again, this provides the bigger den area. We'll have sliders off the back onto a deck, which means more, so you have this sort of like indoor-outdoor living, so you can extend, you know, when the weather's nice, you extend your living space. That's pretty much it. Obviously, then the coverage issues, which I didn't mount the site plan, but you know, you have it in your hand. You can see right now there is concrete all the way back to the existing garage. And so our answer to the impervious coverage issue was to take maybe the first, I think it's about 80 feet of what's a continuous concrete driveway now, remove that, replace it with the pervious paver strips to a paver apron, and then leave the existing concrete pad in front of the garage. And that was we were able to get down then, even with the additional building coverage, to get the impervious coverage within compliance. Because the only thing about building coverage is I know the rule is that, you know, a garage over to a certain point does not count as building coverage at all, but if you're over that, then the entire thing counts. And that's really the reason the existing garage on the site is slightly oversized. And that sort of caused the building the house by itself, I don't think would have been over coverage. It's the fact that we had to include the entire coverage of an oversized garage. Question. I think it's a fairly straightforward and not a very complicated condition.
I think there was a question with how did you calculate the deck? I don't know if you answered that or not.
Oh, the deck is to be, you know, open wood slats. It's not going to be the deck. I would not assume is pervious. It's open wood slats, so water can go through. It's only, you know, gravel or soil underneath.
50%, right?
Yeah, for your, yeah.
The decks are 50%.
Yes.
And that's the way you calculate?
Yes, I went through, yeah.
Very good,
Yes,
okay.
correct.
And the driveway have grass strips?
Yeah, so it would be two sort of pervious paper tire strips with grass in between.
I would like clarity on that once again, because we've had this conversation. If there's grass in between, Ted, did I hear you at one point say it now is considered pervious?
The ordinance says the entire driveway counts as lot coverage.
So
Strips are not, it says,
So you put
it says driveway.
And which to me makes no sense at all, because
I agree.
if rain comes down, it's
I know,
gonna go through, so
I mean, we'll just count the strips
you'll count the strips as
as
grass.
pervious, you know, or impervious.
Right, maybe that's something that we just need to put on the list. Let's just get that.
It should be just
If
defined.
our ordinance is wrong when it comes to that, maybe it should be reflective that having these strips in the middle is a favorable thing. We would be in favor of that.
Right.
And I don't want to see applicants charged as lot coverage for something that is not truly impervious surface.
Right.
And I understand the intent, right, because a car over it is going to block rain from going down there, but the reality of it is it acts as a drainage area.
Mhm.
I know my driveway's that way. stones, but it drains, so. So maybe we could, April, make note of that, that the strips down the middle of the driveway should count, if it is drainage, should count as impervious. Okay, anything else for your presentation?
No, I'm open to questions.
Okay,
It's
let's-
fairly straightforward.
We're going to start on the east side.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one more question for
Sure.
my client.
Please.
Did you talk to your neighbors next door to your house?
Yes,
And you told them what you were planning?
yes, I did.
And those are the neighbors that are on the side where your house is close to the property line?
That is correct.
And did they have any problem with what you were proposing?
They just wish me luck this evening.
Okay, the only thing I would say to that, though, we have to be careful because the future owners might have. But variance stays with the land, so, but I understand, and it's nice that they're compatible in terms of not objecting to this. If they objected, I assume that they would be here tonight, so we're gonna start on the east end with Mr. Ross.
Sure. This is more of a question, I guess, just to educate myself. I always get this mixed up, but if you were saying that because of the oversized garage, you were penalized a little bit because if it was a conforming garage, you'd be able to discount or get credit against your building coverage, is that right?
Correct.
So you're 6% over right now, but you have no deduction based on that?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. I always get that mixed up in my head.
That's an interesting little term that I need to look into as well.
You're allowed
Because that's
660 square feet?
I think there's 3 different exceptions in there for different size garages. I think 240, 340, 440. But if you're over that, you lose it.
Yeah, 440.
Yeah, you lose the 440. You don't just take the 440 and then add on the, it's over, you know. It says it, there's a definition on the last note, 5, that tells you that.
Is the purpose to encourage garages or to encourage garages?
Well, they gave you an exception for building coverage,
Yeah.
but if you go over that, the entire garage counts.
Gotcha. I have no other questions, I'm sorry.
Great.
I wanted to-
No, I'm curious about that myself. Continuously learning. Mr. Gray.
The only question I have is for the applicant is, how do you fit your name on a check? I'm kidding. I don't have any questions, but thank you.
I have a couple. Basement access then is going to be provided from inside and outside?
Correct.
Is during this extension renovation, are you going to be re-siding the existing house?
Yes,
So then we need to make this bump out fire compliant that approaches the 24.
Yes.
And regarding, my note here, I can't email handwriting. The coverage, again, just because we don't have a chart here, you calculated removal of the existing driveway as well as counted the proposed deck as 50%.
Correct.
And then to make the assumption the parking strips or proposed driveway is going to be, what do we call this, impervious paver? Semi-pervious.
Yeah, these semi-pervious paver tire strips with lining.
It's extensive.
It is. I mean,
It's extremely extensive.
there's an ocean of concrete on the site now.
Yeah, it's, no, I'm saying the detailing itself for semi-pervious is extensive. All right, and then my only thing, Mr. Colas, your plans are excellent.
Thank you.
And if you have an opportunity again, I'd like to review them in full-size plan sheets.
Okay. I did specifically ask the secretary when I printed it.
It's not a requirement, but it's Mr. O'Neill's preference.
Mine too.
We'll remember that. Every time I get to one of these, I can hear the trees scream.
That is very fair.
Recognized.
That is very small font. Mr. Almeida brought up a point, and I just want to reemphasize it, because a neighbor of mine is having a similar issue regarding the siding that they thought they would be able to put up, because one part of the house is within that setback. They've got to change their type of siding. So it isn't a minor issue. I know it was just talked about briefly, but you should look into that. And I do believe, Ted, when we had that conversation, you could just put a compliant siding there and go with what you were planning for the rest of the house, as long as it complements it and matches, and that would be your own preference. But you know, they're having to relook at their siding, the neighbor, because of that proximity to the neighbor's side setback. So give that some thought with your builder. And Ms. Brazil, I'm so sorry, but we should start with you over here because you're the furthest east person, not Mr. Ross. So we're gonna go to you before we go over here. Mr.
No,
Lubin,
no
okay?
worries. I have no questions.
Great, okay. Mr. Lubin.
I have nothing. It's all good.
Just one question, is there gonna be any storage in the attic over the addition?
No,
No trapdoor, nothing?
no, just cross space below, and just, again, it's a shallow roof, there
Yeah.
wouldn't be much access in there anyway.
Okay, thank you.
The only thing that might be in there, we might have to run, a trunk line to the HVAC in there to condition the new space, that'd be the only thing.
Is that it, Jim? That's it, okay. And Ms. Hayden?
And the addition's gonna have gutters
Yes.
alongside? And those gutters are gonna drain to?
We tie into the existing system that's already there. And again, if that's not, again, when we get to the construction documents, if that's not adequate, we will add either a drywall or figure out where we will address that. But, again, it's not a very big part of the roof, there's an extensive amount of room to other end, we can just tie into what's existing already there.
Okay, and I have no additional questions beyond those which were asked. So with that, does anyone here from the public have any questions or comments regarding this application? Now would be a good time. Seeing none, we will close the public session and go right to board comments. We'll go in the same order that we just did. Ms. Brazil first.
I think nothing's better than a nice kitchen, so we enjoy it.
A nice pool is better than this.
I agree.
I agree. I think you're coming before us with a minimal ask, and it's going to improve the quality and flow of your house dramatically. So, and I also appreciate the concessions, to get rid of the extra driveway coverage and things like that. So I appreciate it. I'm in favor of the application.
Right. For the same reasons, I'm in favor of the application.
I echo my two colleagues.
Mr. Lubin.
All good. I'm gonna disagree on somebody down there. The kitchen is much more important to us. But it's, the flow improvement is very good, so it's all good.
Mr. Giorgio.
No further comments.
No
Same.
more comments, enjoy it.
Okay, and I just think, all of the things that you did to try to improve the entire property, renovating the exterior, matching things, it's just going to be an overall improvement to the neighborhood. And I really do appreciate you reaching out to your neighbor next door and them not having any objection to this, because sometimes people throw those notices away, and after we approve things, they then start to speak up, and it's a little, it's a little too little too late, and, I think more homeowners need to pay attention when they get those registered letters. So it was nice that you went to them first, so I would have no objections, and I would also be in favor of this application. So, Mr. Kennedy.
Okay, if the application is approved, some of our standard conditions that are implied and that we spoke about would be compliance with all the promises, commitments, and representations that development team made tonight, compliance with the borough's affordable housing rules, regulations, contributions, and directives, 24-month shelf life within which to obtain building permits, obtaining all necessary outside approvals with the understanding that if the application or the request for variance relief materially changes as a result of those outside approvals, there's a need to come back. We always have the grading and drainage details to be reviewed unless otherwise waived, and approved by the borough engineer unless he determines otherwise. No adverse drainage impact on the neighbors. We're going to make clearly mention of the fact that the coverage is, the impervious coverage is going from non-conforming to conforming. I think that was it. And I think there was one question I think we mentioned from Mr. Collis. Was it 31.64 or 31.2? We just wanted to clarify which building coverage is correct. Doesn't sound like the board issued, we just want the answer.
Right, so, it's 31.2.
31.2, okay. 31.2 is correct, so we'll just clarify that. The wall to be fire rated, compliance with building and construction code regulations, and we're just confirming that it's about 80 feet of the concrete driveway is going to be removed and was replaced with, are we calling it semi-pervious? Semi-pervious strips. Let's see, the bump out needs to be fire retardant, and gutters along the addition, which will tie into the system, adding a dry well if deemed necessary by the borough engineer. And Mr. Chairman, I think you said, just always confirm that the addition will not cause adverse drainage impacts, and if there is, the applicant at their cost need to address that to the satisfaction of the borough engineer. I think that was it. Jim, are those conditions acceptable to you and your client?
All are acceptable.
Okay. Chairman, if they're acceptable to the board?
Great. All right, so if someone wants to make a motion to approve this application?
I'll make that motion.
Great. I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Gregg?
Yes.
Mr. Almeida?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mr. Lubin?
Yes.
Mr. Gloria?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Joy.
Good luck. Do we have any executive?
I have some things that came up, and that will
Open
be
session or
executive session, if that's okay.
Executive session?
Shouldn't be more than 10, 15 minutes.
Great. We're going to go into executive session, so with that, meeting tonight is over.